First of all, thank you for this incredible turnout. My name is Bob Holtz, and I'm the co-founder and president of a nonprofit agency based in New Jersey called Road to Recovery. We work with sexual abuse victims and their families. We provide advocacy and support. And it is our singular honor to stand next to an incredibly brave young woman who will become, for many, a model of courage and strength and perseverance until justice is done. And your support of her today is not only greatly appreciated, but incredibly significant as a sign to the rest of the Brown community, the city of Providence, and well beyond, that we are not going to accept sexual abuse of anyone. We are going to fight each and every time it occurs. The person who will tell her story today, and please keep in mind what a traumatic and difficult thing this will be for her to do. But I have no doubt that because of the training she has received from her courageous parents, Marcy and Richard, who are here this morning as well to support her, she won't have any trouble at all getting her message across, because she has already gotten it across and will continue to get it across. So I now ask you to listen to a courageous woman, Lena Sclove.
Thank you all so much. Let me know if you can't hear me. There's some noise in the back, so tell me to speak up if you can't hear me.
That's it.
Yeah, come on in. Let's huddle in.
Great.
It's sort of bittersweet. I haven't seen a lot of you, and this campus has come to mean a lot of things to me. And it's become a really scary place to me, and that's what I'm here to talk about, because the faces I see here are not scary ones, and so I want to talk about why it's a scary place for me now, why it was so hard for me to come here today, but why I have to be here today. So first I'll say why I'm here. On August 2nd, 2013, so less than a year ago, I was strangled twice and raped by another Brown student. He was a former friend of mine, and we had hooked up a couple times. We had decided we wouldn't do it again. I went to a party, and I said no over 7 times. I never said yes, and I have lived in fear and with the nightmare of that memory since that day. Within 2 weeks, I reported this incident to the Brown Office of Student Life. I knew what had happened, I knew it was wrong, and I had been counseled that I should go report and that this process would bring me justice and would be part of my healing process. The hearing process went for 3 months. So my hearing was October 11th, and again, I was raped on August 2nd. It's an extremely long time to go to meetings while the rapist is still attending classes and still living in that dorm right over there. I had to see him in the campus center, in the library, in the dining hall. I had to see his friends who had been my friends, and I felt very betrayed by them. Many of them testified for him on his side of the hearing. And I had a hearing on October 11th. There was a panel, a student conduct board panel of a dean, a student, and a faculty member, a professor. And on October 18th, I was notified of the decision, and I would just like to read it in the official language that Brown gave it to me, because I think it's important to know. He was found responsible for offense 2A, actions that result in or can be reasonably expected to result in physical harm to a person or persons. Offense 3A, sexual misconduct that involves non-consensual physical contact of a sexual nature. Offense 3B, sexual misconduct that includes one or more of the following: penetration, violent physical force, or injury. There's a loud clap, hold on. I'll repeat that last one again. Offense 3B, sexual misconduct that includes one or more of the following: penetration, violent physical force, or injury. In my case, it was all three. And offense 5A, illegal possession or use of drugs and or alcohol. He was found responsible for all four of those offenses. And at the bottom of this page, which I have right here on brown letterhead, it says, as a result of these findings, Brown University is imposing the following suspension until fall 2014. That was in October. I appealed this decision immediately. He did not appeal the decision. I wrote a long letter, which I have here, explaining that I did not feel safe attending classes in the fall. I still had 2 years left to finish my degree and was not going to be safe with those sanctions. The vice president of the university is the one who reads the appeal. She received my appeal, and she did not grant my appeal. So my appeal letter explained my concerns for safety. It also mentioned that I had the information that the panel, who had actually heard all the testimonies and all of the witnesses that day, had recommended a 2-year suspension, and the senior associate dean of the Office of Student Life brought it down from 2 years to 1 year. Now, he was allowed to stay on campus, attending classes and living in the dorm right over there throughout the appeal process, even though he did not appeal. He was not asked to leave campus until just before Thanksgiving. There were 3 weeks left of school, and yet he is still considered to have been suspended for a year. Now, he will not receive, supposedly, credit or financial reimbursement for the fall semester. That said, I lived in fear for my life, and I lived in traumatic triggering all over campus for most of the fall semester, and really was only given 1 semester of freedom and safety on this campus before he returned in the fall. I made it very clear to the administration that I did not feel safe with their decision, and they told me that I had been given what they could give me, and that they had made the decision based on the precedent of past sanctions. I raised to them the question about change, and when has change ever happened from looking at the past precedent. We don't have to look hard at civil rights or at women's rights or gay rights to say, oh, we just do it the way we did it in the past. And if Brown is a school that says that we are at the forefront of doing the right thing, it's kind of confusing that we're making decisions like this based on past precedent. So I was not notified when this man and rapist was asked to leave campus. It turned out he had been gone for a week by the time I found out. That was another week I was living in fear for my life. And I had moved off campus. I didn't feel safe living in a dorm. I was living in a 1-bedroom apartment 15 minutes away from campus. I was terrified of everything, diagnosed with PTSD. Everything is still extraordinarily loud for me. And I managed to get through the semester expecting to come back this semester and enjoy 1 semester of freedom. During finals, I began getting migraines. The migraines lasted 2 weeks, and just before Christmas, I woke up with a lump on my spine. It turned out I had a cervical spine injury in my neck from being strangled. It's very common for trauma injuries like this to take several months to surface. I could not walk for about 2 months from January and February. I was bedridden and was forced to take a medical leave. So I lost my 1 semester of freedom, and now my next opportunity to come back as a student to matriculate here at Brown is the same semester that the rapist is allowed to come back and matriculate here at Brown. That's sort of the brief summary of of my story. There's some things I would like to highlight. I feel like I should have been thanked by the administration for keeping this campus safe. Instead, they kept him safe. He will graduate with a Brown University degree from the Ivy League. He will have on his transcript that he was suspended, but he will still have his Brown degree. With the current situation, I am now 2 semesters behind where I would have been had I not been raped, because I had to take a half course load in the fall. And that is something else I would like to discuss, is about the incredible amount of time and energy that it takes to go through this hearing process. I have the incredible support of my parents here, Richard and Marcy, who I could not have done this without. And many people do not have their parents' support when they tell them, or cannot even feel safe enough to tell their parents that this happens to them. I had their financial support, I had their moral support, and therefore I was able to take a reduced course load so that I could maintain some semblance of sanity while I went through this trial process at Brown. Now, many students are on financial aid that require them to work study jobs or a certain GPA or certain scholarships. Those students essentially do not have even the option of going through this hearing process because it is simply too time consuming. So this is a process that is reserved for folks who are privileged. I am white, I am female, I should have had it the best there is, and somehow I still ended up screwed. So we all know this is not just an issue for me. This has happened a lot on this campus. This is also not just an issue for Brown. We all are seeing the news, people are coming out, and it's really a moment. It's a moment for universities to decide which side they're on, what side they're on. You know, we're standing in front of the gates here. This is where you enter when you matriculate at Brown and where you exit when you graduate. So this is a question about what do we want this school to be? Who gets to stay? And why does he get to stay? Why does he get to graduate? Because I'm not coming back if he's here. So then I don't get to graduate. And I got in here and I worked my butt off to get here. And, you know, this guy is coming back in the fall, and that's up to Brown about what kind of school Brown decides to be. This is a hard issue, and we all have our own sort of connection to it personally and politically. And I thank you all again for being here, and I'm happy to answer questions. But I just want to make it really clear that I'm out of options. I can't finish my degree here. I transferred to Brown. I've already transferred. I've already studied abroad. I've already taken time off. I'm ready to finish school, and I didn't do anything wrong. I didn't do anything wrong. And for other survivors out there, they did not do anything wrong. And yet I'm being punished. I just tried to go use the bathroom in the Rockefeller Library because I had to pee before this. My ID did not work, and I was told that if you're on leave, you're not allowed to access library privileges. So I feel like I'm suspended from this school right now. That's how I feel. And I didn't do anything wrong. So,
you know, we all know that when a child is raped, when a teenager is raped, when a young adult is raped, the family is raped. And Richard Sclove would like to talk about that side of the story. So
I'm going to come forward.
We're going to help him turn around. And
my dad broke his foot on Sunday. He's okay. It's not serious, but don't be alarmed by the wheelchair and crutches.
He's going to stay in the chair.
Please don't roll down the hill. Okay.
And if you want to tighten up, tighten in.
Hold me a second.
I got you.
Thank you.
Are you good? You're locked?
Come on in.
Thank you all for coming, and I just want to acknowledge that
you're
I'm
not locked.
going
You're not
into the
locked.
street.
I'll keep my hands there.
Yes, okay. The lock doesn't
Are you,
look right.
you
Got you. I got him. Yep,
Okay.
I got you.
I want to thank you again for coming, and I want to also acknowledge Marcy and I are so proud of our daughter's courage and integrity in doing something really hard. It has been unbelievably traumatic for Lena and for the entire family. It's a shattering experience for all of us. Factually, I just want to add one or two footnotes to what's gone on here. After the decision that found the young man guilty of rape by the university standards, and during the appeal process, at Lena's request, Marcy and I met with University Vice President Margaret Clove, who was in charge of the appeal process. In the course of that, we sent her 2 letters. This was before she made her appeal decision. In one of those, I pointed out that there's a leading study on the danger of repeat rape. 9 out of 10, the leading study on the subject of repeat rape on college campuses found that 9 out of 10 rapes are committed by a repeat rapist. So statistically, anybody who rapes, just statistically, is likely to be a repeater, somebody who's done it before and will do it again. In this case, the odds that this rapist has been or will be a repeater is higher, because I've heard from multiple lawyers and rape counselors, including the Sex Crime Bureau office of New York State, that somebody who chokes while raping is at a higher risk of being a repeat rapist. This was all said, I said this in a letter to the University Vice President Clove, which I copied to the Provost and President Paxson. So they were on alert to this information during the appeal process, before they rendered a decision that unusually, all rape is violent, but in this case an atypically violent rapist, that it's appropriate that they get their wrists slapped and come back the next fall. They were alerted that that they're putting not only our daughter, but all of you and every student on this campus at higher risk of being subjected not just to the random unknown rapist, but this is a known predator. And they think it's fine that this kid comes back and gets his degree here. In addition to that, I didn't mention that the study on repeat rape that I cited to the Vice President was co-authored by a Brown University researcher. And it was cited a couple of months ago in the White House report on sexual misconduct. They cited it twice. So this is an extremely authoritative study co-authored by a Brown researcher, and Brown thinks it's fit that you should all be subject to the risk of being at the mercy of repeat rapists, known rapists. I guess I'd add that I think this is information I hope leaks out widely. I think anybody who's thinking of coming to this school and their parents should think twice about the fact they're sending their student, their child is going to a university whose administration doesn't mind subjecting people to the danger of being on campus with known rapists. I think that alumni and donors should think twice about wanting to support a university administration that has a de facto policy of reproducing a rape culture. This is not a zero-tolerance campus for rape. This is a campus that upheld the appeal based on precedent, the precedent that we think it's right that the sanction should be minimal for a violent rape or any rape. I guess that's enough for now. Thank you.
Marcy, could you join us? Oh. And could I ask anybody with a sign to stand behind us here? We've told the city of Providence what we're here for, but now we want the people to look out the windows and to see why we're here. And we want this person expelled from this campus permanently. Lena's going to say a few more things.
Just another thing about the way this school handles this policy is that if another student has been assaulted by the individual, they cannot submit a letter in addition to my hearing, for example. They have to file their own complaint and do their own hearing. So I had another letter submitted from another student who had been assaulted by this same person. It was initially accepted. When the rapist saw that it was accepted, he objected to it, and the university removed it from the hearing materials. So the university has on file another letter that this person has assaulted another woman on this campus, but does not acknowledge it in their decision-making process because the rapist objected to the letter being included. I just want to close by honoring other survivors who choose not to tell their story, because in no way is choosing not to tell your story something wrong. It's a decision that I chose to make for myself, but choosing not to do it, it's really about your own healing process and what is best for you. And I feel very strongly about not shaming anyone who does not choose to tell their story publicly. And I also want to thank those of you here and not here who got me through this time, who continue to get me through this hard time. I don't know how I could have done it without these two folks here and without many of you here and many people who couldn't make it today. Healing from this will take a lifetime, and I just thank you all for being here and for your support.